Should you put a red dot on your bolt gun? You know, maybe you should. What's up, guys? Joe here from ScruffyArms.com and the Scruffy Fam. Hey, before we get started today, if you're not already subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment. I love interacting with people on this channel. Now, tomorrow I'm going out to start hunting, but I have something really cool I want to give to one of my subscribers. So we've got a lot of subscribers lately, and I'm giving away a free hand-forged knife. So one of my friends is a blacksmith, and he made 2 knives for me. I did a video that I'll link down below talking about those knives and what I'm going to do to give those away for free. All you have to do is go to that video, comment on that video, and be a subscriber, and you will have a chance to win that knife. So far, I think there's only like 4 or 5 people that have commented, so the odds are really, really good. But today what I want to talk about is the Vortex Nation just did a podcast on putting a red dot on a bolt action rifle and how it's becoming a more common theme in some of the places where you just don't have a long way to shoot. And I really started to think about that, doing deer drives, doing some predator hunting that's up close and personal when you're chasing with dogs, or anything where you just know for a fact you're not going to shoot long distances. Like out to 200 yards. Okay, I would say about 200 yards is about where I would stretch it. And I was thinking about that. Now, you know, there's actually quite a few instances where I hunt that I don't hunt past 200 yards. And I have one specific caliber that just isn't good for hunting past 150 to 200 yards. And I really started to think about it. Well, what type of applications of bolt action rifles would you put a red dot on? Now, we put red dots on AR type platforms all the time. AR-10s, AR-15s, red dots go on those things all the time, and no one bats an eye at it. And I think that's a fantastic choice. And if you really start to think about it, iron sights are good out to whatever your eyesight is and whatever you figure out your drop and drift is at distance. How is that any different than a red dot? Well, the red dot is easier to pick up with your eye. You can have both eyes open without any problem and no strain on your eye or your brain to focus on a target at range. So what I decided to do was to look at the numbers. Okay, so let's look at the numbers and let's talk about this. So my 7.62 by 39 is a Ruger American Ranch. It has a 16.1 inch barrel. It is a very compact design. I've had it on the channel several times. It has a Sharps Brothers Heat Seeker chassis on it. And the thing shoots really, really well. It shoots everything about MOA or less. And I think that's a fantastic option for new hunters. It recoils way less than a 243. The ammunition is cheaper, and it is a 30 caliber. So I really like that as an option for someone just getting into shooting if they want to hunt, because it's very low recoiling, it's affordable ammo. You can get practice ammo and hunting ammo. It's a 30 caliber. The list goes on and on and on and on. So as I've looked at that, we've done ballistic data for the 7.62 by 39 before, and we've talked about it. But here's something that I really want to get across. So the generally accepted distance and energy to kill a deer is about 900 to 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. It depends on who you ask, bullet placement, bullet construction, all of those things. So that's kind of the argument back and forth. Is it 900? Is it 1,000? So for argument's sake, we'll say 900 foot-pounds of energy to kill a deer. For the 7.62 by 39 and a 16-inch barrel, you're getting a barrel velocity of 2250. So when we look at that velocity, our energy at the barrel is 1,383 feet per second. If we do a 50-yard zero, we're getting 1,220 foot-pounds of energy at 50 yards. We're getting 1,073 foot-pounds of energy at 100 yards and 941 foot-pounds of energy at 150 yards, and 200 is 822. But here's the really cool thing, all right? So if we do a 50-yard zero, there's only a half-inch drop at 100 yards, and there is a 3-inch drop at 150 yards. So you can see that it starts to drop off really fast. But when you think about that, if you have only a half-inch drop between 50 and 100 yards, and only a 3-inch drop at 150 yards, you're talking about being able to hold center mass of the vitals of a deer, which are 8 inches. Even if you do 6 inches on a conservative side, and if you hold center mass of that deer, you're going to hit vitals out to 150 yards with no problem. At 200 yards, you have an 8.3-inch drop. So even at 200 yards, if you held at the top shoulder of the deer and shot, that drop would bring you down into the breadbasket of the deer. So for a 7.62 by 39, why in the world would you put anything else on there than a red dot? If you ran it in an AK or an SKS, would you be putting a 3x9 or a 4x14 or a 3x18 or any of those? I've actually run those on the 7.62 when I was zeroing it, and it always felt like overkill. So let me show you what I did. So here is my Ruger American Ranch in 7.62 by 39. I put on this Vortex Venom red dot. Now this I had on my shotgun for turkey season. So I know it can handle the recoil of a 12 gauge with turkey shot in it. The really cool thing about this is I can put this ridiculously far forward so that as I'm forward with this, I get really good eye relief. And what you can't see, let me turn it around here, what you can't see is as my hand comes up, my thumb's in the natural position to turn the red dot on. So when I turn this red dot on, it's automatically there and I can keep both eyes open. And if I need to shut it off, I'm right there to turn the red dot off. I really like this. If you were in a tactical situation, a lot of people have mistaken this for an AR platform rifle when they see it because of its construction. And if you looked at it this way, would you know it's a bolt action rifle until I turned it around this way? No, you probably wouldn't. But I am really excited to take this out and zero this at 50 yards with the red dot and try this out. I've got a lot of opportunities to hunt this season. I'm actually going out tomorrow. It is the opening of gun season. I'm going to take my 308. But after looking at all the numbers and listening to some of the applications, I don't see any reason not to have a red dot on this Ruger American Ranch in 7.62 by 39. Its max effective range doesn't warrant me putting something crazy on here, and I already had a red dot that could go on it, so I'm going to give that a try. But let's talk about something else that I keep rolling on back and forth. So if you guys have been watching the channel lately, you've probably seen this. This is the new, and I say new, as in it was produced since July of this year, Remington 700 SPS Tactical in 308 Winchester. I've been shooting this a lot lately because it was a new rifle, and we wanted to make sure we got it ready to go. Because I've been shooting this thing so much lately, this is what I'm going to take hunting with me this weekend. So this is our opening weekend, so I'm going to take this with me both tomorrow and Sunday when I go. If I get something tomorrow, I'm not going back out Sunday. But as I looked at this, this is a 16.5-inch barrel. This is meant to be a tactical style small frame rifle. What if I put a red dot on this? Let me tell you why I'm thinking about that. So when you talk about velocity drop on going to a shorter barrel, it's pretty significant. You're averaging about 20 feet per second per inch. And that is varied on all kinds of things, but that's a pretty widely accepted as about 20 feet per second drop. And when I look at the muzzle velocity on a lot of the different different types of bullet I'm looking for in the 308, it's usually around that 2,700 feet per second mark. When you drop the barrel length down to 16 inches, you're getting 2,500 feet per second. It's 2,540. Now this is going to carry a lot more energy than the 7.62 did, but here's something I want to really focus in on here. So if you look at the 308 in a 16-inch barrel, at the muzzle, our energy is 2364 with 2,540 feet per second. I would do a 50-yard zero, and at that 50 yards, we're producing 2,182 foot-pounds of energy. At 100 yards, we're producing 2,012 foot-pounds of energy. At 150 yards, we're producing 1,852 foot-pounds of energy. And at 200 yards, we're producing 1,702 foot-pounds of energy. You're producing all the way out to 500 yards, 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. So out to 500 yards, you could kill a deer with a 308 with no problem, even with a shorter barrel. But here's the thing that got me thinking about putting a red dot on this 308. And this one specifically, because of the shorter barrel, is if I do a 50-yard zero, the drop between 50 and 100 yards is zero. There is no difference. The trajectory is the exact same, which is pretty impressive. From 100 yards to 150 yards, there's a 1.6-inch drop, and at 200 yards, there's a 4.8-inch drop. So out to 200 yards, you're still within the breadbasket of a deer, out to 200 yards. 250 yards, it drops to 10 inches, 300 yards is 17, and then you just start more and more all the way up to 500 yards, you're talking a 70.4-inch drop. So when I am looking at that, and I see that out to 200 yards, you're only dropping just under 5 inches, carrying plenty of energy to kill a deer. This is a tactical style rifle anyways. Do I need a 3-18 on this? So that's the thought process in the conversation. I don't think I do. I have a 6.5 Creedmoor if I need to do some long distance shooting. I've got a 270 Winchester if I need to do some longer distance shooting. Both of those are set up in longer barrel rifles that are getting the max amount of velocity out of them that they can. The 270 is more than adequate enough to handle any deer past 400, 500 yards. The 6.5 Creedmoor can handle them even farther. I'm not quite sure if I really need a 3-18 first focal plane on my 308 Winchester. So, guys, tell me what you think. I am wildly curious to hear from the community. The Vortex Nation podcast made a pretty good argument as to why you should put a red dot on a bolt action rifle, and I think it is scenario based. I really do. Like, I won't put a red dot on my 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a 22-inch barrel. That just, it's not going to happen. My 270 Winchester, I wouldn't do that either because it's a Model 70 270. It's got a 22-inch barrel. I'm just not seeing that application. But something like this, I mean, you could talk about this almost becoming a scout-style rifle if you put that red dot on there. And we'll have a conversation about scout rifles another time. But I already put the red dot on the 7.62 by 39. I think it's a perfect application for that. That red dot's going to stay. I might upgrade that red dot at some point, but it's good enough. And I'm thinking about getting the Vortex Spark Solar to put on here. After looking at the numbers and looking at the intended application for this rifle, I don't see why not. So, guys, let me hear from you. Have you ever thought of putting a red dot on a bolt-action rifle on your hunting rifle? Do you see an application for it? What are your arguments for or against? I am wildly curious what you guys think. And like I said, if you haven't already entered to win one of those free knives, go to the video in the description below. Go to that video, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, and I will send you one of those knives for free, no strings attached. So guys, thank you very much. Any of you guys going out hunting, I wish you happy hunting. I'm going to hopefully redeem myself from losing that deer, and I hope you all have a wonderful hunting and Thanksgiving season. Until next time, guys, stay blessed.